our scouts and our leaders for tonight. And I'd like to thank Jason for the detailed explanation that he went through to our Boy Scouts. It was pretty neat. And Jason, on a side note, you're the third one to be able to describe that picture right behind you to your left, or to your right. Denise did, and Mrs. Roberts, and Linda did, and it's pretty neat.
Yes, it is.
It is pretty neat. So thank you very much. Thank you for entertaining us.
You're always welcome here. Thank you very much. Would any of the other scouts or leaders like to address the board? I'll open up to members of the general public. If there's anybody who would like to address the board, please state your name, your address, and state your business. Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Paul Anderson, 89 Main Street, Crawbrook. Saturday, the Scout Hall Building Committee, of which I am president, were allowed to have a tour of the community center as it stands at the moment. It is spectacular. This is going to be far better than anybody expected. It's hard to believe. We spent 45 minutes there and our jaws were hanging all the time as things went on and we got shown more and more and more. This is an absolutely wonderful thing. I'm really looking forward to it opening. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Asking a third time. Is there anybody online who would like to address the Board of Selectmen? If so, please unmute yourself, state your name and your address, and then state your business. Okay, there will be another opportunity later on in the meeting. All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 reappointments, 5 reappointments to board and commissions.
Communication.
Yeah, it's just a proclamation and the court zone. There's no action, that's just information.
No, I know, but you usually always fit for the public to know. That's all. We just missed it.
Oh. I'm sorry, I've had a toothache for about 2 days. I'm not on my game. I have a fever as well. Let's turn to reappointments, please. They're all 4 of them are the BMX committee. This is a committee, not a commission, so it has a sunsetting period of 18 months.
Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to take the 4 together, make a motion to reappoint Brenda Crockett, David Crockett, Rebecca Crockett, and Lori Gabriel to terms expiring September 20, 2026 on the BMX committee.
Second.
Any discussion? Sarah, did you have your hand up? I caught you on the corner of my eye. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Conservation.
We appoint Francis Neal to the Conservation Commission as a regular member for a term expiring April 1st, 2029.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, unfinished business. Last meeting, we talked about a couple of options for the dispatching services moving forward. Chief Carl, do you have any updates?
Other than answering some questions, I mean, I don't know if you're useful that. Updates, etc.
So the 2 options that are in front of us, option A, as they formulated it, maintains effectively the status quo arrangement between the town and Talon County Dispatch, and it sets the rate at $49,426. Option B changes the status quo and would involve dispatching functions being done exclusively out of the police department and emergency medical dispatching being done for us by Talon County. And that's at a cost of, I don't see it here, $35,000?
$5,744.
Should be there. Pros and cons to both options. We talked about them pretty in detail last meeting. You guys were going to do some due diligence for follow-up conversations with Chief Carl if you had them. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion that we accept option A and adopt the agreement with the Talon County Mutual Aid Fire Services for the next fiscal year.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I'd like to say, I think that was a good exercise to go through that, and I'm not sure that we don't want to change in the future, but I think right now it's too much change this quickly. I think there's some more things to figure out with that. So I'd like to look at it again in the future, but for now, I think this is a good option.
I'll just say I'm grateful for the collaboration with them to bring their price down back to earth. We had a pretty substantial history of price increases in sequential years from them, and this gets off that highway for a bit, and it's something that I think this is where I wanted the contractual agreement to land, and this is what they have provided, so I'm totally satisfied with that. One of the things we do need to do is we still need to negotiate a memorandum of agreement between the town and Talon County to make sure that there are no other unanticipated costs that are passed on to the town moving forward. So that's something that I'd like to ask as a friendly addition to the motion.
Well, if I think we should have that discussion with them. So I'll add to the motion if it's okay that we enter into negotiations about the memorandum of understanding. But just I don't think that the entering into this agreement is contingent at this point on us having that MOU.
I agree with that.
Okay.
I'm good with that too.
Ladies?
I'm in favor of option A as well, and I appreciate the deputy chief answered a lot of the questions that I had, and I think we have a good working relationship to the end, and I think not that our police dispatchers couldn't handle the addition. I know that they do an excellent job. I just feel that staying the way we are right now is the way to go.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 3-1. Okay, at the last meeting, we had an application coming before us for a waiver of the alcohol prohibition at East Windsor Park for May 24th. Purpose being for an anniversary party, and there were concerns around the BYOB provision and making sure that that was restricted to beer and wine only. I did talk to the applicant, and she said she was absolutely fine with that. And she'd make sure that her guests understood that it was a BYO beer and wine concern. So I believe that was the only outstanding question on that. So I would entertain a motion or any additional questions anybody might have.
Can you amend this application so that if anybody gets it, knows that we're not allowing alcohol?
You tell me what you wanted to say and I will add it to it and I'll just initial it with my signature and that'll be part of the deal.
If you do beer and wine only. In moderate, not. There's no such thing as moderate.
We'll say beer, wine, and ciders. Because I don't want them to think they can't bring like a Truly or something.
Is it alcohol?
Yeah, but it's not hard.
Sometimes I'm really like drinking.
All right, beer and wine only.
And I just have a comment that I'm glad they checked off consumption in pavilion area only. We had one earlier where I had a concern that was spilling over to the parking lot areas and other areas in there, and you get these big parties in there, and everybody is drinking everywhere. And then when people want to come in to enjoy the park, they're driving into people just having a big party and drinking. So I'm glad to see that they're confining it consumption in the pavilion area only. I'm just pointing that out. So if another one comes before us and they want to have it everywhere, this one didn't, this one is asking just to put it in that area. I think that's the best thing to do.
Oh. Right, yeah, that,
Good. Good. Glad to hear that. That's good.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Was there a motion or we had a discussion? There wasn't even a motion.
Oh,
No,
great.
I was thinking.
Yeah.
I told you, fever. May I have a motion?
They called out for.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Oh. All right. The next item is a discussion of an amendment to a town ordinance pertaining to the fees for zoning permits. Ms. Calabrese, the floor is yours. Thank you.
State statute. By 2003, ordinance 03-2. Fee schedule was amended and actually included in the ordinance. So in order to update the fee schedule, we have to go to town meeting. State ordinance. So what I'm asking for is consideration to go back to the 90-11 ordinance and of course correction back to giving the ability back to the board. And in the memo that I provided to you, I put in the language from that ordinance 90-11. I added the aquifer protection agency because since that's my first ask. I don't know if it's premature. Look at suggested changes in fees, or if you want to consider changing the ordinance.
I will say, during my time working in the state government, I think during the Rell administration, they had to go in and open up all of the prescribed fees in state statutes when the governor looked to modernize them. And that it was really an illustrative moment because you don't want to put a dollar specific number into code or ordinance or statute because you have to keep it up with the times. So I think having that be something that falls under the purview of the Board of Selectmen or the Planning and Zoning Commission or whoever, I think that makes sense to keep up with how things are evolving. So with my 2 cents, I appreciate you bringing that forward.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make some adjustments to the fee schedule and sought out the ordinance. Wait a minute, there's fees in here and they're 2003, and I know that at Permanent Link, we added the $10 fee and we put it on our fee schedule that we post. So I put together a chart, and I don't, if you'd like to go through the chart now, I'm fine to do that. It's in the packet and it's the Excel spreadsheet. That's okay. So the first, I've named the items that have fee scheduled that 2003 ordinance and what the fees were. In the center column, the additional permits that have come since 2003 because regulations changed how they could use this project. And that's the, temporary liquor permit, temporary event permit, temporary worksite trailer, and the zoning compliance letter. So the last column there is the $10 permit link fee. That's the current prices that we have. And on this spreadsheet, the increase, we have the compliance letter. We're proposing to increase that to from $25 to $50.
I'm sorry, I don't think we can take penalty fees on the schedule that I have to have the right one.
So the.
It adds to it. It's not broken out.
Up, yeah, all those fees bumped up. And then down towards the bottom, the zoning compliance letter. Looking to increase the fee for that. The food truck and outdoor dining is a new permit. Want to add that? That's a zoning permit. And then the zoning compliance survey, we several times a year we'll get in very detailed surveys. Consultants who are doing reports for other people. And have been charging the $25 compliance letter fee for that, but it's a lot more involved. So we wanted to ask for more. You're probably getting $50 for what we give them. It's a research project. So we're proposing that.
Can I ask a couple of questions?
Yes.
On a temporary liquor permit. That you have.
Yep.
That's always been in place. Or is that any?
That's been there. It's since I started working here. It's been on this fee schedule. I've never issued one.
The reason why I'm asking, because this says temporary liquor permit $70. I bet the reservoir people are getting, ability to use liquor up there. Are they now required if they live in town to pay the $70 permit fee? Or is this just?
This permit's, it's on my permit fee list. I've never
And we
seen
don't know what
anyone
it's
come
for?
to us for, no one's ever come and asked me for it.
I think that would be for sale, not consumption. Right? I mean, if you're opening a package store or a restaurant that has a liquor license, that's what that's for. It's not for the consumption of it. So if you were to rent, can't do it anymore because there's no KFC. If you were to rent a place,
Somewhere.
pick a place that you can rent, you don't have to pull a temporary liquor permit for consumption, right?
Yeah, I'm not using it.
That's just for consumption, obviously.
And one other question is on the food truck. And again, talking about using food trucks up there on their events. So the average fee is $95. We're not gonna get food trucks up there.
We don't have the parking event.
You don't permit parking. Okay, I just wanted to make sure
So
that.
this is like if, for instance, go on Ridge Street. He wants to have a food truck. It would be a,
So somebody like, Depot Street, that club that's on there, that have food trucks that go in there occasionally, they would now have to full permit.
if it's a commercial entity, it's a the outdoor dining with food trucks, it's allowed. It's letting use to a commercial establishment.
That's a private club.
Yeah.
So they probably would. And it's the outdoor dining. That's something that's new. We didn't allow that pre-COVID. And then when COVID came around and the executive orders were issued, that was something that was allowed to help the business community, help the restaurant community, and we kept it going.
And I don't have a problem with the outside dining because it's an establishment, but I have a problem for other people that may want to have food trucks. But there's a club on Depot Street and in their region, they wanted to have one, I'm not saying they do, but I'm just throwing those out to nonprofits. But I just had a concern.
Dan, I had a couple of questions, but, so I'm trying to understand, the third page says, this is 0302 that repealed 90-12. So 90-12 was the old one. But then there's a 90-11 that's in place right now.
302 is in place now.
90-11.
If I look at the town, I'm just looking at the town list of ordinances, and it's got 90-11 on there. And 90-11 is ordinance, that modified, amended, the ordinance for the adoption of schedules. And then it says, be ordained that the board of selectmen is hereby empowered and authorized to establish reasonable fees.
And 03, the 302 repealed.
So did it repeal 90-11 or 90-12? It says 12, yeah. So is 90-11 in place, or is it 03-02 in place? You know,
Yeah, two that's in place.
okay. And then, I just want to comment, I think I looked at all these fees, they all seem reasonable, and the link fee, is only $10, and so none of these fees seems unreasonable, but I still would like to have the ordinance have a town meeting personally adopt the fees and the way we have it. And you gave us the statute 81-C on page 1, and it says there that the municipality may, by ordinance, and this is a town meeting form of government, so that means it has to be a town meeting voting on the ordinance. The municipality by ordinance would establish a schedule of reasonable fees. It doesn't say that the municipality by ordinance may designate another board to establish the fees. And this concept of allowing another board to establish the fees, I'm not comfortable with, because there wouldn't be a town meeting to vote to see if they want to just do the fees. And so I get it that we want to keep current, but I like the process, personally, I like the process the way it is, where the ordinance says there'll be a town meeting to adopt the fees. So once the ordinance is adopted and the fees are adopted, because the fees are built into the ordinance. So I think you gave me a quizzical look, but I thought somebody said they wanted the planning and zoning to establish the fees going forward. Didn't someone here tonight say somewhere, I heard that, maybe I heard it wrong, that the concept was maybe to let planning and zoning establish the fees going forward?
No, the draft is in front of you.
No, the board of selectmen.
Oh, I don't want that either.
I don't
Yeah.
understand.
I don't want the board of selectmen either to adopt the fees. I want the town, I mean, the ordinance, did somebody tell us that we can have an ordinance designating to like the board of selectmen when the ordinance says clearly that the municipality shall adopt the fees?
Ordinance 90-11.
Yeah, I know.
That went into effect, there were meeting minutes,
Yeah,
motion was made.
yeah.
Without.
I think
Okay.
90-11 was a modification, amendment to the ordinance. I think 98-11 was probably wrong. I don't know if 8-1C was in effect in the current language that it is right now, but the 90-11 that was rescinded or no longer in effect, to me, contradicts the state statute, which is clear. It says that, and I'm not saying what attorney decided at that point, it was okay, but state statute says that the municipality, meaning our town meeting, can adopt a schedule of fees. Yeah, I've always said this for everything that we've done in this town, anything that takes away a vote from town meeting or a vote from the public to make a decision, I'm against. Everything should be decided by the state statutes and by the public. We're not a town council form of government, we're a town meeting form of government. So it's not, I'm not criticizing you because you just brought this. But I think the fees are all reasonable. I don't have any objection to them. I think it came. Yeah, I saw that. Right. Yeah, I saw that too. But I mean, the town shouldn't be absorbing I think it's not unfair to have the applicant absorb the publication fee. I think to me, that's fair. And, there's nothing wrong with having a permit fee because it requires a permit to do these things. And we have permit fees for everything in the past. We've done it. We're just increasing them to, and they're modest. They're not huge increases for the public to know. They're going from like $60 to $100 for most of these fees. For like, if you want to build a new house, it goes from $60 to $100, two-family house, like to $150 from 60 to, well, actually, I don't even know what the two-family is.
Yeah, it's, when you look at.
Yeah.
the Fee schedule.
Yeah.
The $60 is the state fee,
Right,
and even our.
right.
Like a. I know that's gone up on its own,
Right.
as Jason had pointed out. Fee schedule.
But by the time,
Get out of date pretty quick.
but by the time they come in for their permits, they already have their zoning approvals. Don't they have to have this, like, if you want to build a single family house and you're pulling your permit, paying this permit. Oh, this is a zoning permit fee, not the construction fee. Yeah, I think it's reasonable. Again, I think the ordinance should be exactly the way we have it right now, where town meeting votes for the fees. That's my opinion about that.
Any other comments?
No.
So you wanna think about this and come back to it? What's your pleasure?
I could make a motion that we send an ordinance, send the revised ordinance with the revised fee schedule to town meeting for approval. I think that's right. Is that the right motion?
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Ruth. Now, changing topics very little. We do have an ordinance that allows for the Board of Selectmen to revisit from time to time building permits. And Mr. Rich has a proposal that he would like the board to consider. I'll invite Ken, go ahead and make your pitch, and then we don't have to change any ordinances with you. We just need to update the fee schedule.
Okay. What we're looking to do is update the building permit fees. And right now, anybody who's looking to see how much it costs them to build anything, what's the permit fee gonna be? They have to call it. They can't figure it out on their own. Difficult for us, we have to put it into the computer. So I'm just looking to simplify that. And just do a 1,000 rate. And anybody can figure it out. You know, and then I separated the state education fee by saying the first $3,000 will be $30.26 per thousand. Then after that, it's $17.26 per thousand. Demo fees will be a flat rate for agricultural and residential. And then commercial will just be $10 per thousand for demo. Yes.
It's about a 25% increase overall. Well, not including the decrease in demolition, but in the trade permits, right?
Thereabouts, yeah.
How'd you come to that number?
I just went to surrounding communities. I didn't intentionally raise, that's not why I did it, to raise the permit.
It was, I just wanted to be competitive with everybody else.
That's what I was wondering, yeah.
I don't want to come back here in 2 years, 3 years. I just wanted to stick. When is the last time we did it? It was before COVID. And things are more expensive now than they were before COVID. A lot more. You know, and I'm not looking to change it to make money. I really wanted to simplify it. At the same time, I just looked at the surrounding communities and just said, well, I'm gonna just keep up with that. And then we don't change. You know, so 10 years can go by and hopefully, and we don't have to change it.
Ken, is there has there ever been a difference in permit fees for residential projects versus commercial projects? Have we, or,
Yes.
but this is all, is this intended to include a difference or it's going to be the same for both going forward?
Well, commercial projects always gonna be a lot more expensive.
I know that, but I mean, the rate.
The rate, no. The rate is gonna be the same. You know, so, the rate will stay the same. And what we might have to do is, once it gets to like $1 million, then we might have to change the rate. You know, I did look into that, and I'm looking at surrounding communities right now. And I'll approach you guys if that does come into play.
Oh, I noticed that I was doing the same math that Alan did in terms of the percentage increase, and it's like about 25% increase in your explanation. But it's also, it's an additional $135,000 in fees compared with, it goes from 520,000 to 655,000. So an increase of $135,000. And that means that our residents and businesses are going to be burdened with an extra $135,000 of fees. And so I'm just thinking out loud here, you know, we don't necessarily have to match the other towns. We can still be less, and that would also incentivize people to do construction and projects. And these fees are, the fee itself is not to pay anybody in town because everybody has salaries. These fees are intended to be a fee to add revenue to the town because people are building things and they're permit fees. So I'm just wondering if 25% is a kind of a, you know, additional, the percentage isn't what's so important to me. It's the extra $135,000 of economic burden on the residents and so I'm wondering if anyone is interested in maybe doing a little bit less than 25% and then giving direction to do, you know, maybe 20% or something like that, and then not have it increase so much and you know, because of the potential burden. Anyway, I'm talking out loud. I don't know if anyone has a taste for doing something similar.
No, I actually don't have a problem with the amount. I just wanted to know how we came up with it.
Right.
You know, because I see this is a user fee. These things have costs, and like we just went over like the software costs for all these things, and we need to upgrade this particular department and
Right.
planning department. And this is what really kind of offsets the cost of that as far as I see it, you know? So
Okay.
I don't have a problem with the fee schedule. I just wanted to know how we got there. And if we're being competitive with other towns, if we're, you know, we're not over, we're not under by much, I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Other questions or comments? Right. I have a motion to adopt the fee schedule as presented by the building official.
So moved.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Scouts, it's 7:45. If you guys wanted to take a minute, this would be a good time for you to say goodnight. Appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you.
You let them off easy.
Yeah, but I mean, they've got the play right now.
If that wasn't for a badge,
What?
no, then they should stay.
And here's 6:30.
I forgot the other thing.
You can leave that open.
Real estate income.
Oh.
Mrs. Maltese, I believe you're up. So our next item is a memorandum of agreement between the town and the community renewal team. Tell us everything we need to know about CRT.
So Community Renewal Team is the organization that currently hosts our congregate meals and Meals on Wheels program. Senior Center. So we need to sign a memorandum of understanding to continue that working relationship. It's something we do every year. There's no monetary ask for it. It's just an agreement that we have that we will supply them with a person to oversee the program, a licensed kitchen, which we do, and have the ability to serve the lunches on a daily basis.
Questions or comments from Melissa?
I had one question. Well, comment first. I think we need the CRT services. I think it's really valuable, and I appreciate the work that the town is doing to bring these into the town to provide for our seniors. And I saw that there's a provision here for termination if there's grants, state or federal grants that are rescinded. And I just wanted to know, do we have federal grants that filter the way down to provide this, or is this coming from other sources?
So they are federally funded.
Okay, so it's the original question was if unfortunately if our federal funds got rescinded, would we still be obligated? But there's a provision here that says that we can terminate the agreement if they were.
Yes, and they have amended the agreement themselves by diminishing the number of meals that we currently receive.
Right.
They are already doing that.
Okay. I think we should be looking at exactly the way this is happening here. Unfortunately, we should be looking at making sure that if we have things that are federally funded, if we're at risk for withdrawal of federal funds, then we're able to either terminate a contract or understand the implications of it. And I think it would be awful if the funds were terminated for this particular project, but we just don't know these days. So
We don't know. We got 2 weeks notice the last time.
Right.
We answered the call and figured it out. We've also visited other senior centers that currently don't use CRT and are either in-house or have found sponsors to sponsor their lunches.
Yes.
So the cost for us to do it in-house would be drastic.
yeah, it would. And then to rely on sponsors or volunteers is going to be potentially inconsistent. And then you also have third parties that are providing meals and making meals that are maybe not necessarily certified. You don't know about the status of their kitchens, whether they have, right, all of that. Right. Okay. Thank you.
Keith, just to follow up on one comment that you made, we get very, very little direct federal funding. It's much more likely that if any of the actions down in Washington were to affect us, it would be through agencies or vendors that we have relationships with. But on the municipal budget side, I don't believe we get any direct federal funding. The congressionally directed spending awards being the notable exception, but
Right.
operationally, we're held harmless from direct payments there. Could happen if they cut the state. And the state could then have indirect implications on municipalities, but that's not something that's under discussion at this point.
As I understand it, you're saying, like, for example, CRT may be direct beneficiaries of federal funds, federal grants. And if their federal grants were, if we didn't have this provision in the contract, they may come to us and say, hey, South Windsor, you're obligated to pay for the cost because you have this contract. But the contract says we're not obligated if there's a rescission of state or federal grants that apply for this. So
My point was more so that we are not providing the service with funds provided to us by the feds.
I get it. Thank you.
They also have private donors that fund them as well. So it's not just state.
Yeah. Okay.
Great.
Is this being done just to update the address for the move? Because I'm looking at the dates, November 24th to September 25.
Right.
That's only 4 months away, September.
Right, so I asked them if we could add both addresses into the current MOU that's for you, and they would rather make an amendment when that move happens.
Well, the amended address should be 28 Abbey Road.
So we're not gonna amend the address.
We're not amending it at this time.
Okay, so we just gotta come up with it.
We're having this year's MOU.
Yeah, they're just very late in getting.
They're
it to
very
us.
late at getting it to us.
Oh, okay, I just wanna make sure it's not us.
No,
It's
oh,
time.
No, no.
Disturbing.
no.
Okay,
No, that's how they roll.
Yeah,
and then somebody, for whatever purpose, circle one refrigerator. I don't know. who
so you
circled
must
it.
have got my nutrition manager's noted version and not the actual execution version.
I think that's probably true. We have a marked up one.
Yeah, so that's not,
So yours is different.
Yeah.
What's different on yours than here?
that's not in it.
Oh.
So so originally I had proposed to them to ask to add the 28 Abbey Road.
Yep.
And they came back and said, don't, thank you, we'll do it later.
Yep.
And my nutrition manager questioned the locked refrigerator piece because we currently share a building with another entity that uses the refrigerator. And so we didn't want to have that provision, and they spoke to us and said, that's fine, do what you're doing.
Okay.
So this version that
Okay.
hopefully Jason can buy is the clean version, which I can go back and make copies for you.
I didn't need to copy, I just
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to make sure that.
No,
Those are
that-
the only two changes that.
Yeah,
that-
yeah, no, yeah, those were my suggestions to CRT and they, yeah, shot them back at me.
I'll make a motion that the Board of Selectmen authorize the first selectman to sign the memorandum of understanding between Community Renewal Team Inc. and the town of East Windsor.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. I'm sorry.
So we'll see if they're.
Or likely
More likely,
13 months from June.
yes.
That could be true. If their lights are still on. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mrs. Maltese, you're still up.
I'll make copies and I'll bring you.
I don't think it's the same.
No,
So it does.
They voted.
The application for the application for new center bus. This is not offered every year, at least hasn't been recently. So we are looking to apply for it this year in order to replace our 2019 bus that has 48,000 miles. The recommendation is 5 years or 130,000 miles.
And what do we do with the vans when we surplus them?
I believe that they're auctioned. So buses when
When we cycle out a bus, what do we do with the old one? So the 2019 that you want to get rid of, what would happen to that?
Get rid of the 2019.
That doesn't sound right.
It's not right to me, that's why I asked.
Oh, the one that we're still using.
Yeah,
Oh,
Oh, that's why he's here.
currently we have 2 buses in the yard. One of them is worse than the bus Broadbrook just used for training purposes. The other one we're converting in for park and rec to move their stuff around because we're put shelves in it so the park stuff can be undercover. After that, the 2019, probably we would auction it off or find a
Charitable.
charitable nonprofit that is looking for something like that.
Okay. But
Broadbrook needs to replace theirs now.
Public doesn't have one anymore.
Sort that out.
Yeah. they
Oh,
don't
I
have
remember
this.
And the age of the other vehicles that we have?
24 with 7,200 miles and 225s. One has 2,900 and one has 5,600.
Okay.
We also have a van that we use that has 31,000 miles. It's 2020.
And we recently took their car away from them,
And it's
so they lost it.
That was colloquially the comfy couch.
Oh, no, we didn't get the comfy couch. Jimmy's got the comfy couch. This was a car that I built in 2013. It was an old police cruiser, but we lettered it up and bought some seats for the back and it just, it's, we can't spend money on it. It's not worth it. So, but they've been seeming to get by with their van for now.
Other questions or comments?
So does this, I'm sorry, go ahead.
We'll go ladies first then.
Yeah.
I just, just before page 12, there's some kind of column 1, column 2. I don't know what that's for.
So that's how the state's budget page works. And to complete the application, we're required to print all of the pages.
It's a typo in the form. It's not our form,
It's a typo on their
So this is
spreadsheet.
meaningless then.
Yeah.
except it's got
But if
page,
we don't include it, then the gets disallowed.
Doesn't make sense to me, but
You haven't worked in a bureaucracy.
worked at corrections.
Oh, okay. Well, you should be careful.
I'm sorry, Keith.
So, Melissa, this, looking at the vehicle cost page, the federal share is 122,000 and the local applicant share is 30,000. And so our charter says that any initial application for a state or federal grant that requires local expenditures has to go to town meeting. So this has to go to town meeting. That's what the charter says. It's, section F. I double checked it, 10-8, section F, initial applications for federal or state grants involving the expenditure of town funds. These are under a section called actions requiring a town meeting. So I think we should, the proper vote would probably be to send this grant application to town
I
meeting.
think that's what we typically do. We authorize your signature and send it to the town meeting, right?
Well, I know, it hasn't happened, it hasn't always happened consistently in the past. So I'm just raising the issue is that this one should go, if it's 100% federally funded or state.
So we got one bus for good money.
There were
It's just
also-
that, so I know we're full.
So I believe the last.
Just for clarification, because I don't want it out there that the last 2 buses weren't done properly.
Well, yeah, what's up with the buses? I think the town though has had grant applications go out. I don't want to start a problem. We just need to make sure we comply with the charter. So I think the correct vote tonight would be to,
What is due date?
April.
Well, then we're not gonna do it. Do we have enough time to notice town meeting? If it gets filed tomorrow, it shows up on Saturday, it's gotta be in 5 days.
Yeah, it's enough time.
well, how about we consider, why don't we consider authorizing the approval subject to confirmation or approval at the town meeting? And then if we don't get an approval at the subsequent town meeting, then we notify them that we're withdrawing our grant application. So then we're gonna have a town meeting and get approval, but, right?
I'm gonna just tell you, 2 years, a while back, you do that, you get blacklisted, they won't offer it to us again.
Oh.
That's not we can't pull it back.
So give me the authorization to schedule the town meeting and we'll try and get it in.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we authorize the first selectman to schedule a town meeting for a vote on the 2024 traditional section 5310 capital application.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Oh, where are these? The old ones, thank you. You have an original? That's the copy of the CRT MOU, if you want to share. This one without the.
Right?
Okay, so, the next thing is a good neighbor circumstance. The town of Coventry had their entire assessor's office quit or go out on extended medical leave all at the same time. And they have asked for some help to, provide staffing in there 1 day a week. They have asked that this run through April. Oh, at the end of April is what the request was. So I had an MOU drafted that was signed off on by our employee that we would be detailing to their 1 day a week. Her labor union, the reciprocal labor union in the town of Coventry, and the Coventry town manager. And this outlines that the employee would spend 1 working day a week there for that period of time. And that the town of Coventry would reimburse us for her salary costs. It's actually closer for the employee than it is for her to come here, so it's actually no mileage consideration for her either. This is a good neighbors thing. We have informal arrangements for things like building official coverage from time to time. This is just something that in working with the folks in Coventry, they asked for some help with. I checked with Helen and confirmed that our workflow at this time of the year was allowable for that. If this was like December, January, that would have been like an absolute no. But we can help them out for right now. And so all parties are on board. We just need your approval and I'll sign the agreement.
I'll make a motion to enter into a memorandum of agreement between the town of Coventry, the town of Coventry, and the town of East Windsor, respectively.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Oh, I got a discussion.
Go ahead.
So, I'm a little concerned because all of a sudden they disbanded. Shouldn't we have something in here that says they're gonna hold us harmless for this work so that in case, there's an issue that person makes a mistake or there's ongoing issues in that office, they're not gonna come back to our person or the town of East Windsor and say, we're responsible for it?
We're not running their office,
Right.
so they still have a certified assessor who is doing it. They're just underwater with work. So the certified assessor is the person who has to sign off on the submission that goes to the state, and they, under the law, bear the responsibility for whatever is submitted. So there's a supervisor who is licensed that is providing the supervisory check on any work that's being done.
I don't know, maybe they would agree to a hold harmless sentence in there that just says, they're gonna hold us harmless. I'd hate to see us get sued because somebody didn't like their assessment and they sue the town of Coventry and they're gonna sue the town of East Windsor. I'm just worried about a liability issue is all. If we're having an employee do work for another town and then are they gonna be, because they're not technically, they may not be covered under their insurance for, they're not an employee, they may not be covered under their errors and omission insurance, for example. I'm just saying.
We're being reimbursed.
What?
They're reimbursing us for that service. So it's assumed that being reversed, that money being sent back to us makes her for that day. If anything happens, workers' comp or anything like that would fall under the town.
Think that if something happened with her, it'd be under our workers' comp, and we're authorizing her to do it. So workers' comp is different, because our workers' comp would cover her time there. She's not their employee.
That's correct.
But I think if there's an errors omission claim, I mean, assessor's claims could be large. You could have like, there are lawsuits anyway. I'm just saying, I just don't want to see the town get, just a simple line that says, town of Coventry agrees to hold the town of East Windsor harmless. For any any liability arising out of this agreement, and then that would be the end of it. We don't have to do it, but I'm just proposing we put that in there. I don't think their errors and omissions, insurance is gonna cover our temporary employee going over there under our, because it's our town employee. So,
Oh, that doesn't make sense. If they were to hire anybody on a temporary basis, it's on them.
yeah, they're not hiring our employee and paying them. They're doing this agreement with the town of East Windsor to allow our employee to be over there. I'm just talking like a lawyer, and I'm just saying, okay, let me could happen. So
I didn't say it.
that's all I'm doing. Okay, just put on,
Get my mouth shut.
adding some lawyering here.
I appreciate you adding the lawyer joke too.
I did?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I missed that.
Yes, ma'am.
Should it say though, the date that that time period till the end of April, because it says that the services may be extended or increased by written or email consent, but in here it doesn't indicate what the term even is,
Yeah.
unless I'm mistaken.
Hang on a second. It was for 6 weeks, number one.
Oh,
And
sorry, okay. Okay, my fault, sorry. I see that now.
And I believe the email from the town manager was through April
Okay.
30th.
Sorry, I missed.
He said our position is advertised and applications are now coming in and we hope to get interviews underway early the week of the 31st. However, it will likely take a couple more weeks to get someone started. So I would be comfortable with April 30th and then circling back if there was a need. All in favor?
Did we make a motion? Yeah, we did. Yeah, sorry. Aye.
Sabo, did we?
Yes, we did.
She's got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Discussing.
Oh, no, we
I
because,
seconded, and then he wanted to discuss before we had a vote.
that's right.
Yes, now.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'm not gonna ask if we postpone 9F till after executive session.
So moved.
Your second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
9G. Chief Carl,
Yes,
how are you, sir?
good.
We're talking about the welcome packet.
Well, you guys have before you the welcome packet. This is the, goes back to the radio system we want to build. Basically, what we would need tonight is, we're speaking to, EMS, the Department of Emergency Management, Homeland Security. One of the point of contacts for us on the bottom of the first page, if you have the letter, William Garcia, he would need authorization. The most important thing that we need to do now is the notice of grant award. It's basically the welcome packet. But if you can see on the first page, he sent us the administrative plan, guarantee point of contact, statement of work, project budget, which we don't have yet. We'll talk more about that in executive session. Timeline for that, but, and then the resolution. This is typical of any project that we would have. It would basically open up the funds for us to basically, they administer the grant as we work through the project. We're getting very, very close to this. This is just standard for you guys to do. And if you had any questions, you can.
Hey, Carl, how come it says dear first selectman Paquette? Who is that?
I have no idea.
That's another guy that got a letter.
So this is, the top part is right. Obviously, I saw that too. I think what this is, like I said, this is standard. On the day that they awarded everything for the grants, there was just, when we attended, it was 1 point something billion gone in 45 minutes. Am I wrong?
No.
So, I'm not sure. That's the letter. The more important part about it, the second page, notice of grant, all of that information is accurate. What is a question you would have is that you see the project, almost $13 million. And then the $8 million award. At the time that they awarded it to us, if you remember that we had an offer, we rejected that and they had to go back around to our proposal. The most important thing is that it's 8 million. Anything over 8 million is going to be on an agreement of the folks, us in Windsor, whoever else is building the system. But It's just the award of the $8 million. I anticipate very, very soon having new numbers.
Chairman Puckett is from Woodstock. And he took office a year ago after his predecessor died.
More importantly, I didn't create this document. I can't fix it either.
So we need an authorization to sign the notice of award, notice of grant award. There's a couple of other places
Yeah,
too.
do we also have to
Actually,
authorize the certification?
Yep, I'm getting to that. That's be page 20, 20 and 21.
24th is,
23 is the town clerk.
24 is the,
23 is me. 24 is the town clerk.
There's additional required at the bottom.
So that it would then be appropriate for a motion to authorize my signature and initials as necessary, as well as those of the town clerk.
it says in the, like the town clerk one, that there is you're signing that the legislative body of the applicant is cognizant of the conditions of the state assistance. And then, there's some other approval language there. So I think as long as we authorize it, then we're agreeing as a board of selectmen that we agree with those things that are in there.
Yep.
Make a motion that we authorize the first selectman and anyone else that is supposed to sign this, to sign the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection Notice of Grant Award and certifications.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Took longer than 1.2.
Yes.
All right. Sam Pugh. All right, so we'll turn to selectmen's reports. I don't have very much tonight. So one thing I just want to note for people is in the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to see the old Walmart building be torn down. The building is being taken down by the property owner with the intention of that being redeveloped, but we don't know what it's being redeveloped to. Nonetheless, the building is in a state of significant disrepair. It's not salvageable, so they need to. They're coming through and taking the cheaper option. As was stated earlier, the community center project is coming along nicely. Flooring is going in and the drop ceilings are being installed. The site work, I was going to say it was going to commence this week or next, but it started this week, so that's good. The project remains on time and on budget with an anticipated opening date in early to mid-June. We're going to have more details on that soon. On March 18th, Dr. Tudrin, Denise Menard, Joe Sauerhofer, and I met with representatives from CSG and the architects working on the school feasibility study. The architects shared their initial potential renovation or construction options to move forward with that project. Those will be shared with the ad hoc committee and the Board of Education once they're out of draft, which will be in the next week or so, for their review and for their feedback. And following that conversation, we all headed over to the state capitol and met with Senator Anwar, Representative Foster, and Representative Hall to update them on the efforts that are underway so that they can begin the process of starting to help with any state approvals that may be necessary. The project is still working its way through the process, and we're hoping to have more information to share with the public and solicit their feedback in the coming weeks. And if a project does seem viable, a vote on that project will be held sometime later this year. Last night, Congressman Larson held a town hall event at East Windsor High School. The event, which had more than 350 people in attendance, was an opportunity for the congressman to share updates about what's happening in Washington, D.C., as well as hear from residents from all over the first congressional district about what their concerns are. We're very pleased to hold this event here in the town of East Windsor. And it was a great turnout with no incidents at all, which I was, I will say I appreciate the police having a presence around in case there was, but it was fine. It was great. Looking ahead to next Thursday, March 27th, the East Windsor Police Department will be defending their title against the East Windsor boys and girls varsity basketball teams in a charity basketball rematch. We're hoping nobody gets hurt this year, but it's a super fun time. Melissa has tickets through community services. Last year it sold out. It was at capacity in the gym. It was a great event. I'm sure it's going to be the same. So get your tickets while you can. And finally, mark your calendars. April 8th is going to be a rededication ceremony for the East Windsor High School track. So that's going to be at 2:30, just ahead of the first home track meet of the season. Marie.
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Keith.
I just want to report that I did get a few phone calls about the solar, I'll call solar property fire. It wasn't a solar farm fire, but it was on the solar property. And then I've also gotten some calls about people that are concerned about the fencing that's going up, I call it silt fence or whatever you call it for construction over on Thrall Road. I wonder if we would consider having a public meeting where we can get public input from the community about their concerns about the existing solar projects and how they feel about solar in general. We just have not had that kind of meeting. So there's an active solar group in town, so maybe it would be good to have a public meeting about this at some point in the future. That's it.
All right, thanks.
Planning and zoning did approve the text amendment for the 350 or so apartments and, kind of a mixed retail or commercial space. So if the applicant so desires, they can come now to, the next stop would be wetlands because they're within the 150 feet of the upland review area, and then they'd go to planning and zoning. So I would expect that would be coming up in a future meeting. Also, I got this through Facebook today, but it also looks like there will be a public hearing beginning on the 25th planning and zoning meeting for what would possibly be an Aldi's, as well as another, fast food type restaurant at the space, the empty lot north of Comfort Inn on 5. So those are both in play in the next few weeks. That's it.
Nothing to report this evening.
All right, we'll turn to public participation. This is the second opportunity for members of the public to address the Board of Selectmen. I'll first ask if there's anybody online who would like to address us, and then provide the same opportunity for anybody who's in the room, who's joining us online. Is there anybody in the room who would like to address the Board of Selectmen? If so, please state your name, your address, and state your business. Yes, sir.
James Martin, 108 Main Street, where else going? I just want to clarify a statement I made earlier concerning the dispatching, where it was said that TN finally brought their points down to earth. That's incorrect. All they did was redistribute the costs to the fire departments. There's 458 calls that should be assigned to East Windsor Ambulance or the town of East Windsor, whoever pays that bill. Those calls should be assigned to them. So TN didn't come down to their senses or come back to earth with their price. They just redistributed to the fire departments again, and the fire departments are continuing to pay for the East Windsor Ambulance Services dispatch.
Thanks. I thought I saw your hand as well. No, you just, okay. Are there any other public comment? I knew there was one. Go ahead, sir. Name and address, please.
Sherry, Depot Street, Broadway. I have a suggestion. Same thing they got here, whatever you call it. First of all, it's too small to see.
Oh, I can fix that.
Second of all, it skips and it doesn't follow anything. It's on the bottom, you can't see it. I can't see it until I go here. Yeah, that's guilty. And it's facing
90 degrees to the people in the audience. Makes it difficult. Small letters, bad angle. I suggest that you put it where the audience can see it. Over here, so not the whole screen, just the closed caption, so we can follow what's going on. I have a huge problem with that. I'm glad to see that there was something taking place to help people with that problem, but I just think that it needs to go steps further. It needs to be improved, and I compliment whoever put that up there. But you can't read it.
That's the sizing we can adjust. We'll take that into consideration. Thank you. Is there anybody online who would like to address the members of the Board of Selectmen? If so, please unmute yourself, state your name and your address, and state your business. Okay.
Jason, before we leave the public participation, we have a MOU, we're gonna discuss in executive session, and we have a copy of it. I don't know if either of the Board of Ed members want to tell us whether they support it or not, because I'd kind of like to know going into our discussion, if they're willing to do public participation and tell us their feelings about it.
I don't think we understand why. I saw it on the agenda, so I thought it was up for discussion, but I didn't know why.
Okay. That's feedback. I just was looking for something. Thank
I mean,
you.
it could be pros.
It could be what?
There could be pros or cons to the conversation. I have no idea.
Okay.
So we will have an executive session. A vote may follow. The executive session will involve the 5 members of the board, Chief Carl and Deputy Chief Murphy.
Be more than happy, I can work in the back.
If you wouldn't mind, yeah.
That we go into executive session.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're out of executive session at 9:01 p.m. Going back to the call of the agenda, we're going to take up agenda item 9F. So I talked to the superintendent, and at this point in time, we're just going to let the MOU expire, and we're not going to renew.
Good with it?
Yeah, and I just want to say that the question and the comment about not discussing the MOU and whether it should be, we discussed, I raised it as a point, we had some discussion about that. We did not discuss the content of the MOU or the terms of the MOU. The discussion was, we agreed I could say this publicly.
Yes.
Okay. We agreed that we would just discuss whether or not the town would be entering into the MOU or whether or not we would defer to the superintendent to do the work through his auspices. And that's all we discussed. So we didn't go through the content. And so the question of whether or not we should debate with 2 town bodies the content of an MOU, was raised, and it led to not having a discussion on that at this time. Okay.
So with no further business to come before the board, a motion to adjourn would be in order.
So we adjourn at 9:03 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.